Hello everybody, Carole Garrison with Carole's Creative Escapes. Sorry, I realized just now I needed to turn my camera around here real quick. And I've got to put my sweater on because I'm chilled. Okay. Hello everybody, how are you tonight? I apologize, I'm a few minutes late. I am back in my studio space, but just kind of finished doing the final cleanup for right now. And actually finishing up the card that I want to share with you tonight. So I apologize for being a few minutes late here, and I'm just trying to get my bearings in order. I've had to change things around a little bit in my studio, and just need to get things figured out here just a little bit. So you can see in my background here my new egress window that's been installed. Not the greatest view with the galvanized window well, but I'm thrilled to have so much natural light coming in. It required me to rearrange significantly, like I said, how I've got things set up. So I'm still figuring that out just a little bit, but I'm back and I'm going to be able to do my lives at a much better level than I have been the last couple of weeks. So that's kind of the exciting news here. Still waiting for a final inspection. The first inspector was fine with the rough-in that was done, said I don't need to come back in the house. Unfortunately, they switched inspectors partway through the project. The second inspector wants to see it from the inside and the outside. So we don't even know when that's going to occur, but we don't care. My life is back to normal and they can come whenever they want to come, I guess. So anyhow, happy to be here. Grateful that my workspace is back to normal. And we're going to see where we go from here with all these lovely things from the new catalog. I've actually held off ordering stuff just as I've waited for my ability to have a place to store it other than tossing it somewhere on the floor, which is kind of what I've had to do. So I have a little bit more to do to get things back in order, but I'm 95% of the way there. When I'm all done, I'm going to show you my space. I did make one huge change for me in how I've got things organized. I've always organized my colors, my inks, and my papers by color group, regals, subtles, that type of thing. And because I'm trying to maximize my space and stuff with reorganizing things, I switched to rainbow order of all of my items. So it's going to take me a little bit to get used to it, but it does make for a pretty display, and like I said, I'll share that with you. I'm hoping by next week I'm going to be back to normal. I'm going to have to order one cube arrangement just to make things work here, but I can still show you my space even if I don't have that yet. So enough about my space. I want to show you this card that I'm making tonight, mostly because this paper is so pretty. Not pretty. This paper is so amazing. And especially for those really hard to make masculine cards. So I'm going to show you two different versions using this designer series paper and making it into a masculine birthday card. Next week, I hope to show you the rest of this suite. Unfortunately, my stamps and dies didn't arrive in time for tonight, so I did a little fussy cutting, but I think you're gonna just, when you see this in action this week and next week, you're going to want to get the set if you don't already have it on your wish list. So let me flip my phone over and we'll go ahead and get started here. Just a second. And I'm trying to set things up so that hopefully we're pretty much right on camera here. Let's see what happens. Nope, I should have left it. Ugh. I put new markings and stuff on my table so I know where my range is. And I make one more adjustment because I want to make, no, I'm going the wrong way. I noticed in my videos I've been having some issues making sure that I'm always centered. So that you're seeing what I'm working on, and I don't want you to miss stuff. So let's see where we go with this. So Again, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to do my best to get things straight here. I seem to be just turning everything kind of the wrong way. One more adjustment and then I hope I'm going to have it, so at least I'm not leaning too far out of whack. Okay, I'm going to leave it now because I don't want to spend any more time doing that. I'm sorry about that delay. Anyhow, I am so glad that you're here. My start with the new catalog is a few weeks off from what others have done, just because I didn't have a craft space to work in. Poor timing on our part, but you got to work with the contractors when you can work with them. So what I've got here is from the annual catalog. The suite that I'm talking about is this Let's Go Fishing. If you've got any fishermen in your house, I think you're really going to like this. So the suite comes with this designer series paper, this 3D embossing folder that kind of gives like a corded look, braided woven look, and then this great stamp set that's got fish, and you can layer on some colors. You can make different lures, again layering on some colors, and then it's got great masculine greetings. Good things come to those who wait. Congrats. Happy Father's Day. Happy retirement. And so glad that you're my dad. Next week, I'm going to be making some Father's Day cards using this set, because it also comes with these coordinating dies. And this actually makes like a tackle box. And then there's also this piece. So this would be like the tackle box over here. And then there's this piece that makes cool waves as well. So I'm going to have some fun with this next week, but I'm going to start today just using designer paper and cardstock and some fussy cutting, because my stamps haven't arrived yet. So this is on 78 and 79 of the annual catalog. Let me show you this paper, because like most of our papers, I think it looks better in person than it does in the catalog. And so this designer series paper is called Let's Go Fishing. The colors that coordinate with this paper include Petal Pink, Calypso Coral, Misty Moonlight, which is a new color, returning color, Boho Blue, which is a new color. And then we've got some of the ink colors, including this Pebbled Path, which I actually just received my ink pad in this color. Really like it. Somehow I missed ordering it. Pecan Pie. I wasn't so sure about these colors in the catalog, but as I've used them, I really can see me using a lot of these two colors. Wild Wheat is this color, and this is, depending what you have it next to, it can be green, it can be kind of brown tone. Not sure how I feel about it yet. I'm going to work with it some more and kind of get that part figured out. Mossy Meadow. And then last but not least, Very Vanilla. So that's a really cool thing about this paper, is it goes with vanilla. We don't have a lot of 12 by 12 paper that coordinates with the Very Vanilla. So let me show you this paper. We've got this, it's just fishing lines, like fly fishing lines. And it features the Wild Wheat. And it also goes with that Pebbled Path. And then the back side of this is like a fishing net with Very Vanilla, and the Pebbled Path, I want to make sure I'm saying that color right, Pebbled Path background. And then we've got this cool wave thing, which I think could actually go probably with Night of Navy as well. But I'm guessing it wouldn't look bad with that. But it really does coordinate more with the Boho Blue and the Misty Moonlight. And the flip side of that paper is, I don't know which way it goes. I'd have to look at it a little closer. I think it goes this way. Latitude, longitude lines, markings, depths in a lake, that kind of thing, kind of a map. And then we've got this one that's got all sorts of fun, I think these are for fly fishing type lures, flies. I don't do that, but I think that's what they are. And this kind of pulls in all of the colors that are in here. So, and then on the back side, we've got a piece that's pecan pie and very vanilla. So what I like about this paper is even if you're not into fishing, and I apologize, it looks like my internet is a little slow tonight. I might be a little bit blurry. It's been going in and out. I'm not quite sure why, so just bear with me if it does slow down. I've got this piece that's mossy meadow with kind of very vanilla flies. And then the pebbled path, diagonal, kind of denim-y type look. But again, even if you're not big into fishing, I think you're going to find that the reverse side of this paper is going to be fun to use. And then the last piece has all of these fun fish on it. And if I am not mistaken, I think dies are going to cut a lot of these fish out. I'll know more next week. And again, this one pulls in a lot of the colors. I fussy cut some of these fish tonight, and it's not bad doing that. And then if you flip it over, you've got this wild wheat. Probably would go with pecan pie too. Yeah, better with wild wheat and mossy meadow and very vanilla. So some kind of color combinations that we haven't had for a while. But I think there's going to be a lot that can be done with this paper. Like I said, even if you're not into the fishing side of things, I think, oops, I missed a piece. I think you're going to still like the paper. This is a backside kind of blue wood planking sort of thing. You can see bolts screwed into the wood there. And then it's all blue fish. So again, just some really fun paper and a good handful of colors that go with it as well. And let me just jump in now and show you the card we're going to make here. Like I said, masculine birthday cards, I think they're very hard to make. This one is a fairly easy card, but it gives you the masculine cards. And for me, it's the masculine part that can be hard sometimes. I have used the wild wheat and the pebbled path for my colors in this, but then I've added a little bit of color with the fish just from that paper. And I just used the happy birthday stamp from my go-to greetings. Again, I wanted to kind of keep it simple, but make these masculine cards. So this is a card I'm going to show you how to make tonight. I was a little concerned it might be a little lightweight, so I did add a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of very vanilla on the inside too, just to add a little stability, and then I can write my note to the birthday person in there. So let me show you real quick how to make this card. I'm going to start with a card base that is pecan pie. It measures 5.5 by 8.5, and I have scored it at 1.5 and again at 5 3/4. So it just gives me the offset fold. I am choosing to fold it this way because I think a lot of our cards would normally kind of come in like this, and I just thought this made it a little bit different. You can go either way, totally up to you. I have a piece of very vanilla that measures 4 by 5 1/4 for the inside of my card. And then I've got 2 pieces of designer series paper. My first piece measures 2.5 by 5 1/4, and my second piece measures 1 1/4 by 5 1/4. And these happen to be front and back. And so I like about this paper too is a lot of the fronts and backs coordinate real nicely. It's the same thing for this, and I like that this pebbled path picked up the line for the fishing poles as well. So it just kind of pulled those colors all together. And then I am using a little bit of the Misty Moonlight to pull out some of the color and just add a little bit of color to the card. So this piece measures 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. This piece of pecan pie measures 3 by 3, and I have a piece of very vanilla that measures 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Now you could use circles for this, rectangles, any other shape that you want. I'm just using the squares because I think it works better with my die cut fish, which in this case are fussy cut fish. from this paper, and I've just cut out 3 different ones. Whoops, we want that one floating up right here. And I made sure I had one going the opposite direction just because I think that adds a little bit of detail to the card. And I will be using my pecan pie ink and again that happy birthday greeting for this card. So to start with, I am going to go ahead and stamp. I do like to try to do my stamps before I assemble my card. That way my ink can dry. And honestly, this is the first time I'm opening this ink pad, so it's just a little bit stiff. Usually with these pads on this style of case, once you get it going a couple times, it works really well. So I always, after I've opened them, try to kind of slide it a couple times. And then one trick that I use once I've gotten them loosened up is I'll pop them, just take my thumbs in the back corner here, and I'm going to pop it. Only this case is not quite ready for that yet, so I will show you that another time. This one seems to be just a little bit hard, so we're just going to leave it open now. All right, so I'm going to just ink this up. One thing to be careful of is when you get new ink pads, they tend to be fairly juicy, so you don't want to over ink or squish down on what you're working on. You could run the risk of getting a slightly blurred image. Okay. Wipe that off on my chamois, primarily because I don't want to stick my card in it. All right, and then I know I said I was almost unpacked. One thing I haven't found yet is my seal. No idea where it's at, so I am going to be using my liquid glue again tonight. And I have a pack of dimensionals. It's kind of messy. Do you ever sometimes get those stuck together? I am going to go ahead and, you know, that makes kind of a cool fish too if you had the right card. I'm going to go ahead and pop all of the fish up on dimensionals, and I'm just going to make sure I've got that done ahead of time here. Looks like I've got a couple dimensionals that have lost their backing. I'm going to get rid of those because they are a little bit on the sticky side. And then I'm going to use a couple of the mini dimensionals on this little guy here. All right, so they're going to be set to go. Everything else I'm going to assemble using my liquid glue. And let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is fold our card base along the score lines, and they just get folded in. And it's all right if it's not quite a perfect alignment. You can adjust it as needed, but it isn't gonna really affect the card too much. All right, so we've got that. I'm gonna take this first piece with the flies, and again, when you're using the liquid glue, always start over a piece of scratch paper. I've already done that, otherwise I would be doing it here. But just start over a piece of scratch paper. That way if you get any burps that sometimes develop and will blob out a piece or a pile of glue, you won't ruin the project you're working on. I've had that happen more than once. All right, so we're going to put that piece here. And then I'm just going to come in and, you know, you could use the same pattern if you wanted to. I am going to use the other side just to break up the card front a little bit. And with the liquid glue, you don't have to use a lot. My bottle is almost empty, that's why I'm having to tap it down. And I tend to stay away from my edges when I'm using liquid glue, just because I sometimes am a little heavy with my gluing. So I'm just going to put that piece on that side. And I'm not going to be adding anything to this piece on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere it. And for those of you wondering on this liquid glue, I've had this bottle for quite a while. I didn't use it as heavily as I do right now, but these do last a fairly long period of time because you don't need to use a lot of that glue. All right, so I've kind of got my card assembled this way. And then the next piece that I'm going to do is I'm going to add some glue to the back side of the pecan and adhere that to the Misty Moonlight. And I'm just centering these layers. And then I've already got my happy birthday sentiment on the front of this card. And so we will add that to this layer. And again, I'm just centering it. You could actually skip that middle layer of cardstock. I kind of thought I needed a little bit more color than what I had showing up, and I didn't want that much vanilla on the front of my card. That's why I've got the 3 layers, but you can do that to taste. That part is up to you. All right, and then this piece forms or is attached to the flap. So just to make sure that I've got a secure attachment, especially since I am not using my seal right now, I am going to grab some of my tear and tape, and I'm just going to put 2 strips here. I don't want to go over too far because I want to make sure that this is completely attached to the card so I don't end up, you know, with adhesive overhanging here once I open up the card. My table's making noise tonight. Sorry about that. I think I've got something rubbing. I'm going to have to figure out what's rubbing back there so when it jiggles, you can hear it. It's a work in progress still. All right, so then let's just center this card, and I'm centering it top, bottom, left and right. I'll put that down, and hopefully I did a good job with my adhesive. I did, yay. And then I'm just gonna put my fish on. This one I keep trying to make upside down. Let's just take a look and see what order they should go in. And I don't have a problem if the fish kind of hang off the edge a little bit too. Maybe I'll kind of put them on like that today. So I'll start by putting my fish. When I stack things like this, I like to kind of put the one that's going to be in the center on first, because then I can do the other spacing, but I'm going to put them off to the edge. I wouldn't go too far off the square because it might be more apt to bend, but it's certainly okay to bring it right up off to the edge. It doesn't have to be all within that very vanilla square, if that makes sense. We'll put that one there. And then I'm going to put this last, oh no, I've lost the backing somewhere for one of those. Oh, there it is. I find these all over my house. Do you guys? And I think I'll put this last one kind of right here. And so we've got our second masculine birthday card, but it does look different from our first one because the colors are, except for the very vanilla and the colors we see in our fish, they are different designer series paper, so it gives it a whole different look here. But 2 quick and easy masculine cards with this layout. Let me repeat for you real quick the measurements. The card base is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 1.5 and 5 3/4. That's how you get these 2 folds. This inside piece is 4 by 5 1/4. You could decorate that with designer series paper if you wanted to as well, just to add a little bit of color inside. The outside square here, either Misty Moonlight or the Pebbled Path, is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, followed by a layer of either pecan pie or, in this card, the wild wheat. That piece measures 3 by 3, and my very vanilla piece measures 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. So just a real quick and easy one. Next week we'll get into a little bit more depth using the dies that coordinate with this set. I'm anxious to make that tackle box, kind of see where we end up with that, and play with all those different bobbers and fishing lures that we can make. There's some pretty cool things that you can do with that. So I hope everybody has a great week. Thank you so much for taking your time out tonight to watch my video and for your patience as I was going through my remodel project. And we will see you guys all next week. Take care, everyone. Have a great week. Bye-bye.